know that you think you're the coolest one in town, but to me you'll be much cooler when you're 6 feet on the ground. Some of us are crazy, some are smart and brave, but it doesn't really matter, we all end up in the grave. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. I'm saying all my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead.
Well, hello there, breathers.
And welcome
To another
fun episode of All My Favorite People Are Dead. Oh, Shannon, they're dead.
They are.
They're really dead. Like, they're not coming back, are they?
Well, if they do, then I imagine that means it's a zombie apocalypse.
And then we better run?
Yeah.
Do you know what vegan zombies eat?
Grains.
Grains! They don't eat brains, they
Yeah.
eat grains. I don't know where they're going to find that. Whole Foods?
Farm field somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere like that. Well,
Yeah, no. So yeah, the likelihood of the people we talk about coming back is pretty slim.
well, you know what? They would probably congratulate us because we give very good representations of the good people anyway.
The good ones, yes.
And the ones that we don't like, that we're glad that they're dead, we tell it like it is.
We do tell it like it is.
So if they were bad, they're going to have a problem. But apparently they had a problem.
Well, that's kind of interesting that you kind of lead right into that, because that kind of is our character, my character today.
You don't like him? Oh, I'll take that as a no. Okay, so you're glad he's dead?
You know, honestly, when I was researching this guy, just for this episode, like, I had known his works, but I really didn't know the extent
Oh, wow.
of his
Personality?
personality.
Oh, yeah?
Until I started researching the episode, and then as I'm going along, I'm like, wow, you really aren't one of my favorite people.
But you like his stuff?
But it's one of those, like we've talked about in the past, separating the art from the artist.
Right. Which is very difficult.
Yeah.
If you like someone's work and you don't appreciate them as a person and you think they're not a good human being, it is very hard to patronize their work or their art or be a fan.
Which is really...
Yeah, so that's what you're...
It's where I'm at right now.
That's your dilemma now.
Reading a few books. I read a couple books this week.
Okay.
On this guy. And, you know, it was interesting. I watched a documentary, which the documentary was clearly done by family members who, like, love him. And
Well, they were biased.
And they just glazed over...
the fact that he was a jerk?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they kind of almost ignored it. But it's kind of hard to ignore because it leads up to his death, his brutal murder, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like a funeral. Did you ever go to a funeral? I don't care how bad this person was, nasty and rude, didn't have a friend in the world. They don't say that at the funeral. They may, oh, well, you know, he kept to himself, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they always find a nice way of saying something. I mean...
He kept to himself is a good way of...
Is a saying that no one liked them?
Nobody likes him.
Yeah. You know, you can call anything you want. It's not a used car lot. It's a pre-owned superstore.
Right.
You could call it whatever you want, right? And that's what they do at funerals. I have never been to a funeral of somebody that was really not a nice person.
Yeah.
Where they say, he sucked, we're glad he's dead. They don't, right?
Or, if that's the case, nobody's at the funeral.
Yeah.
You know.
No, people have to come because they're in the will. Sometimes people, right, it's a small funeral, or sometimes now they're big donors or whatever, or, you know, I've seen it, funerals, because I've had to have gone. And I'm like, oh, gee, wow, you know, and you want to feel sad that anybody died, really. But I've gone to some funerals with some people where I go, this was not a stellar human being.
Okay.
And they don't say that. They don't go, well, you know, he kind of sucked, and all right, well, you know, nobody's going to miss him. Nobody ever says that because you can't.
Yeah.
So the family isn't going to say, yeah, you know, Uncle whatever his name is, really, we hated him.
Well, it is kind of interesting because as I was watching this, I think it was like the great-grandson who was in the documentary. But then I was reading, one of the books I was reading was written by one of the great-granddaughters. And it's a total opposite. Paints him
Different.
Totally different, yeah. Like,
okay.
So I'm like, well, this is intriguing.
Well, how do you know who to believe?
Yeah, like, what do you believe? So we're gonna talk about that during the course of my little presentation on a man who helped make the Gilded Age gilded. He had talent. He had vision. He had a flair. He knew what people wanted before they knew they wanted it.
See, now you're making me want to meet this guy. But now in the back of my head, I'm going, he's a jerk.
Well, he lived a lavish lifestyle. He created this lavish lifestyle, and then he lived it, and he kind of outdid himself.
Oh.
However, unfortunately for him, his brutal murder and the discovery of his not-so-savory sex life are sometimes the only facts that people remember about him.
It's not the truth, right? That's what people remember. They tend to remember you screw up one time.
Yeah.
Right? You screw up one time, and that's what you get known for. Not all the good things you did sometimes. There's a term for that, which I can't remember. Not selective memory. Has to do with focusing on that. Like, you go to college, you get great grades, you get like 1C.
Yeah.
You will remember that 1C the rest of your life. You will not remember every A you got.
Yeah.
But that one thing might stick with you.
Yeah.
You could give presentations 10 a day and have them wonderful. The one you mess up where you stutter or you slip or what, that will be the one that stays with you. That's just how human minds work.
Well, he might have done more than one.
Oh, okay.
There might have been more.
But then there's this guy who apparently is a real jerk.
He might have been a perverted predator.
Alrighty then.
Kind of casts a shadow on the beautiful creations that he made.
I'd say so. That there we go, separating the art from the artist.
So today, people walk through his buildings without even knowing that he designed them. And I'm talking about the wild and rambunctious Stanford White. So, you ready?
Born ready. Okay, bring it. Okay, let's discuss.
So, White was born in 1853 in New York City.
Okay.
He was the son of a journalist / Shakespearean historian, Richard Grant White, and wife Alexina Black.
Wait. I was just going to go, wait. Her maiden name was Black and she changed it to White? That's too funny.
I love
it. You can't make that stuff up. Maybe her next husband would have been
Green.
Earl Grey?
Earl Grey. Nice.
Wow, that's funny.
Now, his father was a little flamboyant himself. He wasn't terribly wealthy, but he did have connections in the art world because of his writing, which helped to inspire young Stanford White how to be an artist. And he actually would do a lot of painting and sketching as a kid, and he got his first apprenticeship at the age of 18. Now, he had always been interested in art. He did a lot of watercolors and sketches, and his father introduced him to an artist, a stained glass creator, named John Lafarge. And I've seen a lot of John Lafarge's stained glass. It's beautiful. So John Lafarge is looking over Stanford's work and going, I notice there's a lot of buildings in your drawings. You should be an architect. So that's what happens.
He becomes an architect.
He gets his first apprenticeship at the age of 18 for the architectural firm of Henry Hobson Richardson. Henry Hobson Richardson was making some beautiful buildings in the later half of the 19th century. He was also kind of a wild guy, kind of a rambunctious and once again, one of those brilliant weirdos, Mm-hmm. His apprenticeship began with Richardson, and he worked there for 6 years, along with another architect named Charles McKim, who we're going to talk about in a bit. Now, after his apprenticeship, he went to Europe, where he continued painting and learning about interior design and decorating. So he's starting to kind of move away from architecture a little bit, which he'll do that as well. But he discovers a real passion for interior decorating.
So he's doing the inside and the outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to build you a house and decorate it too.
Exactly.
Wow, that's ahead of his time.
And he's starting to kind of get an idea of collecting antiques and art and furnishings and really kind of understanding what a palatial building should look like on the inside.
Good for him.
So yeah, he's got an eye for beautiful things.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Now, also about this time, he and some other fellow artists start a club. The club is called the Tile Club. And the club is a social club of artists with great minds like Augustus St. Gaudens, the sculptor, right? His work is, famous. Louis Comfort Tiffany is in this club. And Winslow Homer, just to give you an idea. This is some of the brilliant minds of the later 19th century.
Wow.
Now, in 1879, Stanford White came back to New York City, where he again met up with his architectural pal, Charles McKim. Now, McKim had gotten into a partnership with a guy named William Meade. So, they decided to join together the McKim and Mead lacked the interior design side of things.
But they were all architects.
They're all architects, but Stanford White is good at interior design.
Okay.
So this is the time when in America where the wealthy are getting ridiculously wealthy.
Yeah. The rich
right?
get richer and the poor get poorer.
And they wanted to show off their wealth with their homes.
Okay.
So this is a time in America where you needed not just one designer, but really a team of designers to really impress these big money folks.
Go over the top.
Yeah. So this is where you get the firm of McKim, Mead, and White.
Okay.
Now, they would become the largest architectural firm in the Gilded Age. They built some of the grandest and most outlandish buildings at the turn of the century. Stanford was known for they called him the baby of the office because he was the youngest of the three guys. He was also had the most energy, and he was known for his larger-than-life character. He had a gait that was considered close to a run. Like, the guy would literally run through the office.
Speed walker.
Yeah, he was on a mission at all times.
In a hurry.
He was loud, harsh in his criticism, offensive with his harsh language, and in a constant search for beauty. He wanted perfection. He wanted things beautiful.
Okay.
All the time.
All right.
And his biographer and great-granddaughter said, quote, "A big, inspired toddler, indulged, angelic, oblivious, tyrannical." So,
that's a weird combination.
I mean, damn.
All right.
He sounds like a bit much.
You think?
He also had this wild look about him. He was a big guy. He was like 6'2".
Oh, like me?
Nah, like you.
No. Okay.
So
bigger?
He would have liked you.
He would have eaten me for dinner.
Yeah, he would have. He had like bright red hair.
Oh, like me?
No.
Like Clarabelle?
No.
Like Bozo? Lucille Ball?
He didn't look anything like you. Bright red crew-cut hair with a wild red mustache.
A pirate.
Sounds
like a pirate.
And these glaring eyes. Like, he just had this
6'2", flaming red hair, like a pirate.
Yeah, he was a little scary looking.
I can imagine. He's on fire.
But also kind of dashing in his younger years. Like, in the photographs of him as a young man, you can see this passionate, brilliant guy.
Till it gets scary as hell.
He's a little intimidating, yeah.
Yeah.
So together, this firm, Stanford worked on with all the big robber baron families, right? Yeah,
naturally.
Yeah.
He wasn't designing tenements, I take it, and slums.
Definitely not. He designed their homes, their clubs, their churches, their monuments to themselves.
Oh, naturally. Everybody needs a monument.
Yes.
We should build a monument to us.
Us.
To all my favorite dead people. We should get on that.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll hire...
this guy. No, he's dead.
No, he's dead.
Okay. Somebody else.
Somebody else.
Okay, somebody living.
Somebody living's got to do it, yeah. Stanford also hit the jackpot in 1884 when he married Bessie Smith, a lovely woman from a very wealthy Long Island family.
Okay.
So now he's got even more connections because he's married into this wealthy family.
Naturally. But who's he going to marry? Some poor schmuck? You know?
Unlikely.
Yeah. Right? You know.
So now he's got a little more money to play with, and he's got connections. So he's hit the jackpot. Now, he would go ahead and start making even more big mansions with more clients thanks to his marriage.
Naturally.
And it would feed his addiction for rare and expensive antiques and art. He had other addictions too.
I wonder if he went to yard sales like I do to get expensive antiques.
Yard sales? No, probably not.
Where else do you get antiques?
Europe.
Oh, they have garage sales in Europe?
No, he would literally go into these houses in Europe, like houses, big mansions and castles that had fallen on hard times, and he would pay them like nothing for all this stuff.
Why don't we do that?
I know, right?
We should road trip.
Yeah,
we should do that.
Yeah, no, he was just going over there and give them like hardly anything for these priceless artifacts and literally just ripping rooms
them blind.
Out of
nice guy so far.
I mean, he would. We're not just talking antiques and art, but he would take an entire ceiling out of a castle because he thought it was ornate and beautiful. You know, we'll get into
nice. That. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, his connections and his close proximity to wealth, his connections to super wealthy people. He was designing amazing buildings for some of the best, including Mills Mansion right here in Statsburg.
That's
Vanderbilt Mansion is one of his as well. A prime example of his interest in interior design and antiques can be found in Vanderbilt Mansion right in Hyde Park. The ceiling in the dining room. That ceiling... Which is, if you ever go in there and you look up and you see the detail in the carving, he literally ripped that out of a castle in Europe. tile by tile. And what he would do is he would store all this stuff in a warehouse in New York City. He had a huge warehouse full of all the stuff he was bringing over from Europe, and then he would repurpose things. He would actually, as he's designing someone's house, he would think about the stuff he's got in his warehouse and go, I'm going to design this room just for that ceiling. That kind of a thing.
Wow.
That's what he would do. Yeah.
I should try that next time I go to a garage sale or a yard sale. Try and buy like their fireplace. Right. And just take it home or
build a room around that fireplace.
I'm going to try that.
That's what he did. He literally would take these 17th century, French mantles out of people's houses in Europe and bring them over here.
You can't blame them. They're just going to deteriorate and crumble anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how he saw it.
I get that. Yeah. It's just going to go to crap anyway.
He sees it as preservation and repurposing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
I agree.
I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and he was really, really good at it. He also designed the Tiffany and Company building down in New York, the Morgan Library down in New York, the Bowery Savings Bank building, just to name a few. These are some of his grand creations.
Beautiful work.
Some amazing stuff. Now, he became a major celebrity in 1889 when he designed the Triumphal Arch in Washington Square.
Oh wow. Okay, I used to hang out in Washington Square Park.
That is his creation.
Okay.
Entirely his. He had originally designed a temporary arch there in the square for Washington's centennial celebration. But the people of New York City liked it so much that they literally paid him to build a permanent one.
Wow.
It's one of the grandest monuments in New York City, and it really helped to place New York on the map of the world's greatest cities. Because before Stanford White started doing his thing in New York looked like shit. It did. His buildings really were all about making New York beautiful.
Gentrifying even back then.
Yes. You could say that, yeah. He is designing it and making a beautiful place, a more desirable place to be and live. That is all his...
Gentrifying. Here comes the neighborhood.
Yeah. He would change the face of neighborhoods in New York City.
I imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, he also, his next big piece of work a year later was the second Madison Square Garden. Now, there were several Madison Square Gardens.
I've only been in one.
Right. Well, yes. The first one was for a circus.
Okay.
The second one, his creation, which he designed in 1890, was just a palace of pleasure.
It's not the one that's there now?
No.
Okay.
This one came down in 1925.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it didn't last long, really. 1890 to 1925. It is a shame because it was
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I'm sure.
It was all original. It really did kind of look like something out of Italy a little bit. And it was just magical place. He also went ahead and built this huge tower, which actually it wasn't in his original design. He decided to add a tower that would have apartments in it, and he actually used the top floor apartment.
On top of Madison Square?
Yeah. Actually, on the roof of Madison Square Garden was a outdoor eatery and theater.
Look at that. He was really ahead of his time. Rooftop bars.
Oh, yeah. It was a beautiful place to be. So the Madison Square Garden, that is one of his proudest achievements. And he utilized the tower, the top floor apartment in the tower was his.
Can't blame him.
That is where he partied hard.
I can imagine. Why not? I mean, penthouse apartment in Manhattan, when he earned it.
He's like, I earned this shit.
That's right.
So he would have some of the biggest parties around. He would have all the artists and actresses and everybody show up.
Sure.
Really rambunctious people.
Okay.
Now, it should be noted that he has a wife and son.
Okay.
But they don't seem to enter into any part of his New York City life as far as these parties are concerned.
Well, it's not a place for children or families. Maybe he's just hanging with his friends and
the
wife wasn't interested.
What he's hanging out with is underage actresses.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who's hanging out with him? Most notably, a 16-year-old chorus girl named Evelyn Nesbit.
Oh, how nice. Okay, here it comes.
Stanford saw Evelyn when she was performing in the wildly popular play Florodora in 1901.
At 16?
Yeah. She was a chorus girl.
Okay.
So Stanford was referred, all of his friends called him Stanny.
Naturally. What else are they going to do?
Right. He immediately fell for Evelyn's beauty. I mean, everybody fell for her. Everybody in the city wanted a piece of Evelyn Nesbit. She was beautiful.
Okay.
The photographs that you see of her, every artist wanted to photograph her, paint her.
Okay.
She was getting paid big bucks for modeling.
Okay.
In those early days. So she was doing well for herself. And basically, he decides, I gotta have her. And he's 46.
Yeah. And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, our boy Stanny, 46 years old,
Alrighty.
decided he had to gain her trust and the trust of her mother.
By building her a tower, a building,
No.
a prison.
What he does essentially is he starts kind of pretending like he's like a paternal figure. He starts doting on her, giving her, jewels and taking her out to fancy restaurants and just, yeah. And reassuring her mother that Evelyn is safe when she's with me.
She's in good hands.
Yeah, there's
Of course.
all these other scumbags who want to
That's
take
right.
pictures of her and stuff. No,
Not me.
I'm
Yeah.
going to take
You
care
can
of her.
trust me.
Yeah. He convinced her, in fact, he convinced Evelyn's mother that she should go on a little vacation back home to visit family, and he'll take care of her while she's
And
doing
the mother
that.
bought that?
She did.
I'd break his kneecaps.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. He had given them money. They weren't the wealthiest people, Evelyn and her mother. He had given them money. He had rented them a nice apartment.
Paid money to get rid of the mother.
Yeah.
You need to get out of
That's
here.
what he's doing.
I'll take your daughter. She'll be fine. She's in good hands.
So apparently,
Okay.
this is something that he had done before. In one of his apartments, and he had a bunch of apartments around the city. This one was a modest brownstone on 24th Street. He had invited Evelyn and another girl from the show, Edna Goodrich, for a meal. And then he showed them upstairs to a room that had a velvet swing hanging from the ceiling.
I bet.
Because that's totally normal.
Yeah. Come upstairs. I want to see the swing.
Don't you have a velvet swing in your S&M room upstairs?
Everybody does.
Right?
Everybody does.
So apparently, he would use this swing to begin his grooming process.
How old was the other girl? Also,
I don't know how old Edna Goodrich was. That's a good question.
she can't be old. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
I don't think. Yeah, she's probably not. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
probably in her maybe 20s, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Now, of course, he only did this with young girls who didn't have any money or security.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mean the vulnerable and the weak?
Vulnerable, yeah.
Okay.
He used his power to control girls like Evelyn Nesbit and was able to convince Evelyn's mother that he was, a trustworthy figure. Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, as I was saying, he had sent Evelyn's mom to go visit family.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Now, he had said she was performing in her Floridor play. And he said, well, come over when you're done. We're going to have a party. I'm having friends. We're going to have this whole meal. It's going to be great.
It's going to be you, me, this other girl, and the swing.
It
gets worse.
she was used to going to his house after her play for parties. So it was a regular thing. There were always people around. But on this particular occasion, nobody was there. She got to the house. It was just Stanford White. And he's like, oh, can you believe it? They blew us off. It's just you and me, So she's like, oh, well, okay, I guess we can have a meal anyway, because she trusted him.
Sure, he gained her trust by now. Yeah.
So they had their meal, and he's like, I've shown you this apartment. I've shown you in the swing, but there's another room that I haven't shown you.
Want to see it? Okay, Uncle Stanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes her into this room. It's got mirrors and a bed, and he gives her this glass of champagne. And,
Oh, gee.
Yeah, and
Okay,
she blacks out.
Oh,
and
gee. And,
next
yeah.
thing you know, she wakes up naked, and there's blood on the bed, and she had been raped.
Nice.
essentially.
Nice guy. Nice
Yeah.
guy.
So, yeah. That's where, like, I didn't know the full details of this, and when I was reading, I was like, well, shit. Stan, what the fuck, buddy? I didn't realize he had done that.
That he was a disgusting rapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, now, she was screaming and, freaking out, and he's like, no, it's okay. She goes back to her apartment. The next day, he shows up, and he says, listen, everybody in our class does this stuff. Everybody does it. They just don't talk about it. And so she, and trusting in him, she's like, oh, is that how it works? Yeah. That's how it works. So.
Wow, what a manipulative son of a gun, conniving.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not liking this guy.
No.
Oh, geez.
See, like I said, I didn't know this stuff until I really started reading.
See?
And I was like, oh.
And then you wonder why the family doesn't talk about it?
Right,
the granddaughter does?
The one great granddaughter does in one of her books.
Okay.
But in the documentary that was on PBS actually.
PBS isn't gonna. Yeah, I couldn't see them portraying him as a
It was
conniving.
like, look at all the wonderful things he's done for New York City.
That's right.
That's what it was.
They're gonna end there. Yeah, naturally.
And I'm like, well, wait a second. Now she continues to see him because, of course,
she trusts him
she's
by now.
getting money, she's getting jewels, and really it becomes a weird relationship.
Okay.
It does. But meanwhile, there are other people sort of kind of going after her. He's married, of course, so she knows this is not a full-time deal here.
Okay.
And there's another guy who comes into the picture who is just as kinky as Stanford White, really.
Oh, no. Good. There's another one floating around.
It gets worse.
Oh, no.
And his name is Harry Kendall Thaw. Now,
Okay.
Thaw was a member of a wealthy family from Pittsburgh. His mother, a very protective, domineering matriarch, gave him a yearly allowance of $80,000, which is a lot of money back then.
It's a lot of money now.
Yeah, it's right.
It's 80,000. Nobody gives me 80,000 and says go play.
I don't make 80,000 a year, so I'd love that. That'd be
nice.
nice.
Here you go. Go play.
So anyway, he was kicked out of 3 different colleges, including Harvard, for bad grades and lewd behavior.
Oh, here we come.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was known for sudden bursts of violence and anger.
Oh.
Yeah. He was known for regularly visiting unsavory brothels.
Okay.
And also known for whipping and beating young women who had the misfortune of falling for his seductions.
Looks like him and Stanny are going to be good friends.
Yeah,
they have a lot in common.
They seem to.
Okay.
Honestly, Evelyn would have been better off if she had just stayed with the old man. Because he wasn't beating her, at least. I mean, he was just date raping her, I guess.
Gee. So she leaves the date raper for the whipping guy. From the frying pan into the fire.
She had found in when she was in one of Stanford's apartments, she found like a little black book that had names of all other girls, and so she's like, "Oh, he's cheating on me." I'm like, "Honey, he's married. You're an idiot." So she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go find myself someone else." So Harry. Now, Harry...
Something is to be desired about her taste in men.
Yeah, a little
you
bit.
You think a little... Yeah.
And, and I think it's the time. She's a woman who doesn't have the greatest prospects. Like, she's not much of an actress. She's not much of a singer.
She's gorgeous, and everybody...
She is beautiful, yeah.
She's gorgeous, and men are hounding her. I'm sure the pickings weren't that slim that it's between the whip guy and the date rape guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a nice young man.
The problem is, both of these guys have a ton of money. All the other guys that are suiting her don't have a lot of money.
Okay, well, you know what? Apparently, she's going to pay for this.
Yeah.
There's a price.
You get what you pay for, yeah.
If she would have gotten a nice young man that was starting out or whatever.
Yeah.
Hello.
So Harry starts, he had been following her around for a while. He had wanted her forever.
Is the term stalking?
Yeah, he was stalking her for sure. And he would also have men follow her around too.
That would be stalking.
Yeah,
that would be stalking.
All creepy behavior.
And he knew Stanford?
Oh, yeah, he knew. Yeah.
Okay.
But he didn't know the relationship between the two of them.
Okay.
But he finds out.
Okay.
So he says, "Let me take you to Europe."
Oh, that's much better.
Harry.
Yeah, let me take you way out of the country.
He's like, "We can bring your mom. That's fine."
Oh. Okay.
But he tried to do everything he could to pretty much make sure it was just him and Evelyn hanging out and his mom in the hotel somewhere, or her mom in the hotel somewhere. So yeah,
this is beyond creepy.
The more I read, I was like, "Well, Jesus fucking Christ, this is a terrible situation."
You do, even though she's got bad taste, you have to feel bad for this poor young woman getting victimized, and it's terrible.
So. On one of their trips to Europe, they went a couple of times. She actually went without her mother on one particular trip. And he found this castle out in the middle of nowhere and locked her up in a room, basically. He was asking her, he asked her to marry him. Right? Uh-huh. He wanted to make it legit. And she's like, I can't marry you. And he goes, "Why?" She's like, "Because I'm soiled goods." Oh. And he was like, "What do you mean?" And then she broke down and told him what Stanford White had done to her. And immediately Harry was he just went to a fit. And he wasn't mad at Evelyn. He was mad at Stanford White.
How old is he about?
He's in his 30s.
He's older too. Okay, so they're all, okay.
Now, he basically, he kind of pecks at her for every detail about this rape. Like, he wants to know every single gut-wrenching detail, right? And then he says, "It's okay. We can still get married, He's like, "I'm not, this is not your fault," right? So it's starting to sound good.
Okay.
Until he locks her up in this castle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's that.
He locks her up in the castle for a couple weeks where he whips, beats, and also rapes her over a 2-week period in 1903.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, she... of course, is devastated by this, and he goes on this whole, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any of that, I'm sorry, blah, 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 forgive me.
Oh, come now.
Yeah. But strangely enough,
she forgives him?
She does, and she marries him.
After that?
She marries the guy.
She marries a guy like
After
that?
he did that.
Okay, I don't
to
feel
her.
bad for her.
Yeah, she's
as
an
much.
idiot.
Why?
Yeah.
Unless it was like Stockholm syndrome. Like
Maybe.
Maybe she.
Maybe it was.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Because if this is what happens before the wedding, unless like she's got that personality where she's like this codependent, relying on these men, not really wanting to see that they're using and abusing her.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. There's a lot of mind fucking going on here, and I'm just and I'm just like, what the.
And her mom, she never tells her mom any of this.
I guess not. She does not. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think her mom also really allowed a lot of the shit to go on, I think.
Why would you let your young daughter, I'll take care. No.
Back in the days when you needed a chaperone for literally fucking everything.
Right. Why would you let
do
ka-ching? I mean, even still, it's not, I mean.
I don't know. So, when she gets back to New York, Stanford is trying to go, you can't marry this guy, he's terrible, he's a drug dealer, he's an addict, he's blah, blah, blah. And she's basically, just going, it's fine, it's okay. So, this love triangle that's happening here, there's only one end that could possibly happen here.
She gets smart and leaves everybody and finds a nice boy?
No.
Oh.
Murder.
Oh, that was my second guess.
Murder.
Yeah, okay.
Now, things were not going so well for our boy Stanny.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah. He outdid himself a bit financially. Okay. He was spending more money than was coming in. In 1905, the warehouse that he had all of his antiques in, went up in flames.
Oh.
Yeah, and he didn't have insurance on any of it. I mean, gone, everything.
That's a shame for the antiques.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine all the priceless, valuable pieces of art and things that were in there that we'll never know what it was.
Oh.
$250,000 worth of art, which today
millions.
$8 million worth of art, tapestries, artifacts, furnishing. I mean,
did he have enemies?
Harry.
Other than that guy. I mean,
Harry, for sure.
Well, yeah.
I don't know about anybody else. Because a lot of people really they liked him. He was a likable guy. He was also very generous. He gave a lot of money to a lot of people.
Wasn't he doing this to other women as well? He must have been.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
You think the girls or the family, somebody would have come forward other than this one girl?
I actually wonder if Harry didn't set his warehouse on fire.
That's what I'm asking. Did he have it? Wasn't insured?
I don't know.
Really but he must have had other women. It wasn't just Evelyn.
Yeah, there were
others. That he was victimizing.
For sure. And maybe somebody got back at him. I don't know.
So
his health started to deteriorate from the stress of the financial issues that he was having.
Too bad.
His own firm, McKinnon and Mead, were like, you can't be a part of this firm anymore. Yeah. So they put him on salary, took him out as a partner. So he's going downhill fast. And from what I understand, his liver was starting to fail too. So it was really only a matter of time before the guy died anyway.
Okay.
But
put him out of his misery?
Harry decided to speed along the process.
Yeah, I bet.
So Harry was so enraged. It had been a couple years since his wife, now wife, had told him about the whole rape incident. But he couldn't get over it. He really couldn't. So he had actually hired guys to follow Stanford White around, just like he did with Evelyn.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking insane. This
guy. You think?
Well, he's a little bit fucked up.
Doesn't sound stable.
Both of these guys are a little fucked up.
Oh,
really.
Just a little.
On the night of June 25th, 1906, Stanford made his way to Martin's restaurant on Madison Square. And he was dining in the restaurant. And then he made his way across the street to his building, Madison Square Garden, for the opening night season play of Mademoiselle Champagne, was the play that was going on that night. As it turns out, Harry and Evelyn were also in Martin's restaurant when Stanford was in there, and Harry saw him. He saw Stanford in there. During the last song of the play, which was "I Could Love a Million Girls."
Oh, gee.
So fucking ironic.
Yeah.
Harry walked up. They were all. This is up in the rooftop. Theater,
of
Madison Square Garden. Harry walked over during this song, "I Could Love a Million Girls." Walked over to Stanford, where he had his own table next to the stage. He was watching the play. Harry walked in front of Stanford, looked at him, and said, "You ruined my wife." He pulled out a pistol and shot him 3 times. Once in the left shoulder, twice in the face, killing him instantly.
Right in front of everybody.
Right in front of everyone.
Well, that's not smart. I mean...
Yeah, well...
nobody saw nothing. I didn't see nothing.
Well, at first, everyone was a little... is
what
this part of the play?
Oh.
He raised the gun up into the air as if to let everybody know he didn't intend to hurt anybody else, right? And he quietly walked to the back of the theater while the stunned audience was like, what just happened? Meanwhile, Stanford White is on the ground, bleeding to death. He's 52 years old. He dies there. 2 men quietly grab Harry as he's making his way back. They take his gun away, and he's just like smiling.
La-di-da-di-da.
What? Nothing.
Pass the champagne.
Nothing to see here. I'm a hero. I just took out this guy. Yeah.
Okay.
He was quite happy with himself.
I bet.
He saw himself as, quote, a protector of the innocence of womanhood.
Oh, because he definitely sounds like a defender. It's not like, he's hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, alrighty then.
The same man who whipped and beat prostitutes, yeah.
Was she there when he did this? Did she see it, Evelyn?
She saw him shoot Stanford.
She did. Yeah. So she was one of the witnesses. So they all saw.
Everybody saw it.
Everybody.
Yeah.
She was there and everybody
open
saw
and shut, really.
And he's killing the other guy for hurting women.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Alrighty then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So he sees himself as a hero ridding the country of an evil monster, right?
Okay.
The jury didn't necessarily agree. There were 2 trials for Harry Thaw. Of course, Harry saw himself as, I did the right thing. So even though all his defense team was like, you need to plead insanity. He's like, no, it wasn't insane.
I'm guilty. I did this.
This had to happen. No jury. He was like, no jury will convict me. I rid the world of evil.
That's how delusional
That's what
he was.
saw. Yeah. He's like, nobody's going to convict me.
This guy's an idiot, and I had to take him out, and I did you a service.
I did you a service.
That's right.
I deserve a
medal.
Statue here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was really upset when the first jury deadlocked on this issue. 7 jurors found him guilty, while 5 said, no, he's not guilty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So he was like, you're all supposed to find me not guilty.
How can anybody find him not guilty? They have all those... They all saw him come up and shoot the guy.
Well, I guess 5 people were like, oh, he was ridding the world of evil.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Because,
that's still murder.
Yeah.
You're still guilty.
You still did it. So in the second case, since now Thaw realizes, okay, well, maybe I will get the electric chair.
Oopsies.
Finally, he says, all right, temporary insanity. We're going to plead temporary insanity.
Okay, we'll go with that.
So they do. And they actually convict him, and he gets a life sentence at Manawa State Hospital for the insane down in Fishkill.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But since he had tons of money and was allowed to actually to make his room really fancy in the prison. Like there's pictures of him just kind of sitting there like having champagne and like in the prison.
That's terrible.
It's wild. He was given fine meals. He said it was for dietary needs.
Of course it was.
He had to have caviar and champagne.
Right, caviar is good for what ails you.
Yeah. So he really. He didn't have it that terrible. And eventually, he was able to get himself declared sane and was released.
How long did he serve? Do you know?
Not long. He was out by 1913.
Not long.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes to one of these country club things and then gets out anyway.
Yeah.
That's good. That's nice.
Nice. Huh?
That's justice being served.
Of course, in the months following the whole trial, Stanford's death, the papers were filled with all the drama, and Stanford White's sex life was highlighted for the first time. People were like, ew,
Not the other guys, this guy. Not
for the papers are really painting the victim of this, Stanford White, as a nasty individual.
Yeah, but they both were, and they only painted one.
They
didn't say, well, he killed the nasty son of a gun, but he was a nasty. Yeah.
No, they didn't.
No, none of that. I wonder why that is. Like his disgusting history never came out like Stanford's did.
No. And during the trial, it was actually his wife Evelyn who said, this is what Stanford did rape me, and blah, blah, blah. So it was all she went ahead and said it all. His sex life was highlighted. The papers were even like, there was an underground sex circle of all these artists and big names like Stanford White who would bring in these, pretty young girls and helpless women and, do these things to them. And yeah. Yeah. Now, everyone pretty much forgot all about the beautiful things he created in New York City.
He left the state.
He really did.
He ruined his name.
His legacy was tarnished forever.
All right.
With good reason, But that being said, I've never come across a Stanford White creation that I didn't like.
I understand. Having seen the buildings that you're describing, I do.
Yeah.
I do understand. I see it. I mean,
It's tough.
Right.
Did I ever tell you the story about it?
Tell me again. I never remember anything.
Okay, so I'm not good with children. Children are not my thing.
I love children.
You're a child educator.
They taste like
right?
chicken.
Yeah,
I love children.
You're good at educating children. Children gravitate towards you, right? We see it in the diner all the time. You know, they love you. Yes. For me, I'm like, what do I do with that? You know, I don't know. I'm an adult education, right?
Okay, that's fair enough.
So we're going to, my friends and I, we were out in Newport, Rhode Island, right? Stanford White was all over there, building all kinds of stuff.
Beautiful, yeah.
Right? And we're walking along the water, the ocean walk there, along the cliff. And I had broken up, myself and this little boy who was part of the group had broken away from the rest of the pack. We were charged forward. We're like, let's go, you know. And he was a young kid. By the time we got to the final house that we were all going to meet at, which is a fabulous, fabulous house. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Anyway, we're walking up the front yard, and he's looking at the house. He's like, oh, wow, this is so neat. I was like, you know, this was designed by Stanford White. He's like, oh, who's that? Mm-hmm. And then I just switched into historian mode. I was like, oh, he was this crazy wild guy. He had wild red hair and a wild red mustache. And the kid's smiling at me. And because I'm like, wild red mustache.
You must have grabbed his attention.
And then I'm like, yeah, and he built these beautiful buildings, but then he got his ass shot on top of the building that he built. And the kid's eyes were like blowing up at this point. I was like, he's like, well, why did he get shot? I'm like, oh, he was having a love affair with some married woman, you know.
You described it that way to a child.
I'm saying all this, and then I'm like, you know, I kind of got carried away. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, he got shot on the building because he was having a love affair with this woman, this married woman, Evelyn Nesbitt.
At what point did this child start screaming and run up the beach?
He was just kind of like, you know, he was like blinking, his eyes are staring at me, and then I turned and I'm like, realized when I was a kid, I was like,
he was a bad man.
He was a bad. Don't have love affairs, kiddo.
This is you. Okay.
This is me trying to fix it. I'm like, whatever you do.
You are never allowed in my classroom under any circumstances whatsoever.
I was like, oh, I fucked up.
That's so funny. Well, because it's an audience that I'm
not used to.
Not used to.
And I get so excited.
When
I know
that. Yeah, you do. You glow when you. I know you.
So I forget. I'm like. No, kid, don't have love affairs now. That's not good. You don't want to get shot on the building you built.
I want to see what happened that night when the kid is laying in bed.
Asking mommy,
why does a guy get shot for a love affair? What's a love? Yeah, I can picture that. That's really good.
I was like, okay, don't let me around children.
That's good to know. I'm glad I have that information now.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to speak properly to them.
I get a lot of people don't. I've seen that. Grown-ups forget. He will drink out. Yeah. Grown-ups sometimes forget. I have the opposite problem. You know, like if I see an adult, I'm like, would you like a juicy box? Can I cut your steak for you? You know, or I'll use a word. Did you mean to make him mad at you? You know, I do the opposite, like I'll water it down.
Water it down.
Yeah. Would you like a juicy box? I'm funny. 58. Is that a no? You don't want a juicy box?
I love a juicy box.
You know. Yeah. Shannon will have a juicy box.
I'll have a juicy box.
So I guess I do it in the, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm so used to dealing with children that I think I do water my vocabulary down because I don't, try not to use words with really big syllables. I kind of get that.
Yeah. So that is my story.
And that child is now traumatized.
And that child is traumatized.
Okay.
Yeah. So
whatever happened to him? So that was it. So he got out.
So yeah, he got out and he died.
And her?
She went on.
She stayed married to him?
No, they divorced by, I think, 1915 they got divorced.
Gee, what took her so long?
And she did she was actually pregnant during the trial, so she had a child with Thaw, although I don't think he ever wanted to acknowledge that it was his child. And his family, his mother was like, we're not associating with this woman, even though that she helped to get him,
What did she do?
What?
What did she... Evelyn, why? Why is nobody associating with Evelyn? What did she do?
Well, his mom never approved of the marriage anyway. She never approved of him marrying an actress that was beneath him.
Oh.
Yeah. So
she's the victim here, too.
Yeah, she's the victim, yeah.
That's terrible.
But no, yeah, she she went on and had a minor career in theater and did a couple movies. She actually did some movies with her son, Russell Thaw.
Hope she didn't marry any more disgusting men.
She married a dancer later on, I think, but that also ended in divorce. And she lived a good long life, but
I hope she changed her taste in men.
Yeah, me too.
Gee whiz.
Get yourself a dog, honey. Get yourself a good, loyal dog and call it a day.
Terrible.
I know.
Crazy people.
Yeah. Isn't that
then
wild?
And now.
Yeah.
People are crazy, Shannon.
So, yes. That was over a century ago. Things don't change.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. So now it's a different type of crazy.
Yeah. Only we don't have beautiful architecture anymore.
No, they put up like 50 homes in 20 minutes.
We don't have anything
good.
Or
the Frank Lloyd Wrights or any of that.
There will never be another Stanford White kind of creation, which is sad.
No, it's true. That architecture really was an art form. You don't see that. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the genius madness kind
Genius madness,
dividing line.
Exactly.
Yeah, he sounded like a
real
crazy
character.
I don't know.
With bad tastes and sexual desires.
What did the other one do? What did Thor do? Tell me again.
He did nothing. He
did nothing for a living.
No, he did
nothing.
Because I said he had gone to 3 different colleges and was kicked out of all of them.
Right, and then the mother gave him money.
His mother just gave him money.
But he did nothing. He had no career, nothing.
Nope.
He just went through life on mommy's money.
Yeah, that's it.
And mommy didn't approve of the actress.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah,
I know, it's all fucked up.
All right, so he did nothing but beat women.
Yeah. I think he actually later on also was assaulted for beating a boy, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he ran out of women.
Yeah, maybe.
So they weren't enough in the neighborhood. Yeah, they weren't enough. Wow.
Yeah.
So the deadbeat woman beater gets off.
Yeah.
And the sex pervert gets shot by the deadbeat woman beater. Mm-hmm. And there's got to be a moral of the story here, which I can't figure out yet.
Well, like I told the little boy, don't have a love affair with a married woman.
There you go. Okay. Well, that's sound advice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's good.
So does it pay? So if you invent and you're an art and you have all these beautiful things, but you're a real disgusting human being, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
what's the point of being this great and contributing and making beautiful things, but being a disgusting person with no heart?
Yeah, and like nobody remembers. Yeah,
and they're all going to remember the terrible things
shit
you
did. Yeah, not the good stuff.
Is that how Thor's remembered too, as this disgusting human being who shot her husband's, his wife's
former lover?
From like 10 years ago.
Former date
Why didn't he acknowledge the kid? Did he think it was Stanford's from a decade ago?
I don't know.
That was 10 years ago. It's your baby,
I think he was losing his mind.
Anybody who shoots in public, shoots in. I don't get it.
I know. So there we go. That was fun.
Well, that was disturbing.
Educational.
And disturbing.
And on that note.
And disturbing. Alrighty then, and thank you, breathers.
Thank you, breathers, for listening.
For joining us on yet another episode of All My Favorite People Are Dead. See ya.
Bye.
All my favorite people are dead. All my